I found this massive, rusty iron object on a mountain trail in the south of France. It measures about 3 meters in diameter and is perfectly symmetrical, with every quarter of the cylinder looking exactly the same. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known in French as a marmite de charbonnier, or a charcoal maker's pot. These large metal kilns were widely used in French forests during the 20th century, particularly during World War II, to produce charcoal by burning wood in a low-oxygen environment. The modular design allowed workers to disassemble the heavy iron sections and transport them up steep mountain trails to where the timber was harvested. Does anyone know the specific name for these plastic holders? I know they are used to hold boards onto a frame, but I cannot remember what they are called to order replacements. Does anyone know what it is? These are known as slat brackets, or bed slat end caps. They are commonly used in bed frames to secure the wooden slats that support the mattress. The plastic cap fits over the end of a curved wooden slat, and the two prongs on the bottom snap into holes on the metal bed frame, keeping the slats spaced evenly and preventing them from sliding out of place. Are these traffic monitoring antennas? They have been installed at intersections and along high traffic roads in the last year. They seem to be directional based on how they are pointed at the lanes. Does anyone know what it is? It is a traffic detection radar unit. Specifically, these are microwave sensors used to trigger traffic lights. Unlike the older inductive loop sensors that required cutting into the asphalt to bury wires, these mount on poles and detect approaching vehicles using radar waves. They are favored by city planners now because they are non-intrusive, easier to repair, and do not degrade when the road surface cracks in winter. I found this strange nylon strap with several plastic pieces sewn onto it. It looks like it is meant to hang vertically, but I cannot figure out its purpose. Does anyone know what it is? It's a perfect curve hat organizer. This specific model is designed to mount on the back of a door. The plastic clips are spaced out to hold baseball caps by their back straps or buttons, allowing collectors to display multiple hats in a vertical column without crushing the brims. I keep finding these small spherical objects in my garden. They are extremely light, and some have surface damage, revealing a metallic-looking honeycomb structure inside. I have found 5 so far, all roughly the same size. Does anyone know what it is? It is a piece of ceramzite, also known as expanded clay aggregate. These pellets are made by heating clay to around 2190 degrees Fahrenheit in a rotary kiln. The high heat causes gases to expand within the clay, creating that honeycomb structure you saw, which makes them lightweight and porous. They are commonly used in gardening and hydroponics for drainage and water retention. I was informed that this tool is used for soldering, but it looks unusual. It features 2 tubes held together by a clip. One contains pipe cleaners, and the other holds cotton that looks burnt on one side. Does anyone know what it is? It is a vintage mouth-blown alcohol blowtorch. These were essential tools for jewelers and watchmakers in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The user would blow through the pipe cleaner tube to direct a stream of air onto a flame fueled by the alcohol-soaked cotton. This created a hot, precise needlepoint flame necessary for soldering delicate metal parts before electric irons became standard. This object is about 2 inches wide at the flatter base and looks like 2 separate components fused together. It has a distinct spiral pattern and feels like stone. I found it while walking near a cliff face. Does anyone know what it is? It is an ammonite fossil partially embedded in the host rock. Ammonites were marine mollusks that went extinct around 66 million years ago, alongside the dinosaurs. The spiral shape is the internal mold of the creature's shell, preserved through mineralization. The appearance of 2 components is likely the result of the shell breaking or eroding, revealing different chambers or septa within the fossilized structure. I found this large rusted machinery in a creek bed in the mountains surrounding the Bay Area, California. It is roughly 10 feet in length, and there is a potential motor block nearby. Does anyone know what it is? It is the rusted frame and leaf springs from an old vehicle. Leaf springs are a type of suspension system used in heavy vehicles, consisting of layers of curved metal strips clamped together. Given the remote location and the motor block nearby, this chassis was likely abandoned or crashed into the ravine decades ago, leaving only the heavy steel components behind. I found this old rusted tool left behind in the shed when I moved into my new house. It looks like a heavy mechanical clamp with a long handle and a ratcheting mechanism. Does anyone know what it is? It is a wire fence stretcher. Farmers and ranchers use this tool to install tension on barbed wire or woven wire fences. The mechanism clamps onto the wire, and by cranking the handle, the user can pull the wire tight against a fence post before stapling it in place. Without this leverage, it is nearly impossible to pull fencing tight enough to prevent livestock from pushing through it. I have had this 4-inch long silver handle in my toolbox for years. I never threw it away because I wanted to identify it. It has an extendable piece and a black plastic component. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a retrofit switch for aftermarket power windows. Specifically, it is designed to look like a classic manual window crank in vintage cars, but actually functions as an electrical switch. Instead of rotating the handle to roll the window down, you simply push it up or down to activate the electric motor, preserving the car's classic aesthetic. What is this vintage device? It features a glass display and the text Drioman 1959 printed on the left side. It looks like scientific equipment, but I am not sure what it measures. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as an ohmmeter. It is an electrical instrument used to measure electrical resistance, which is the opposition to the flow of an electric current. Based on the 1959 date, this is an analog model that uses a galvanometer to move a needle across a graduated scale, indicating the resistance value in ohms. While digging in the dirt floor of a basement in a house built in the 1800s, I unearthed this heavy metal object. It is hollow with specific measurements marked on the side. Does anyone know what it is? It is an adjustable black powder measure used for reloading antique firearms. The markings on the side correspond to grains, a unit of mass used for gunpowder. A shooter would adjust the internal volume of the brass tube to scoop the exact amount of propellant needed for a musket or muzzleloader, ensuring consistent velocity and safety before the invention of pre-packaged cartridges. I found this heavy metal object that looks like a scepter. It has an intricate crest, etched into both sides, and appears to be quite old. Does anyone know what it is? This is an Ethiopian blessing cross. These handheld crosses are used by priests in the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church to bless the faithful. Unlike large processional crosses mounted on staffs, these are designed to be held by the handle at the base. The intricate lattice patterns typically represent everlasting life, and the specific design often indicates the region or monastery where it was crafted. I was digging in the backyard and found this buried in the dirt. It looks like some kind of old-fashioned waffle maker, but it is heavily rusted and covered in soil. Does anyone know what it is? You are correct. It is a cast-iron waffle maker designed for a wood-burning stove. Before electric appliances, these irons were placed directly over the stove eye. The long handles kept the user's hands away from the intense heat, and a ball hinge mechanism allowed the heavy iron to be flipped easily to cook both sides of the waffle evenly. These were staples in American kitchens from the mid-1800s through the early 1900s. I found this inside a freshly sealed, cheap 500-gram pack of sushi rice. It looks like a tiny clay ball coated in white ash. When I popped it, it cracked just like dried mud. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a clump of field dirt or soft sedimentary rock debris. During the mechanical harvesting process, small clumps of soil can sometimes bypass the sifting screens, especially in lower-cost brands. The white coating is simply rice starch dust. This is exactly why culinary schools teach you to rinse rice thoroughly before cooking to remove starch and any foreign debris. I found this chrome rod that measures 2 3/8 inches long. It has a cap that screws off the top, and it feels solid and heavy for its size. Does anyone know what it is? It is a standoff screw, specifically designed for mounting signage or glass frames. These are commonly used in modern interior design to mount a piece of glass or acrylic away from the wall, creating a floating effect. The barrel screws into the wall, the sign is placed over it, and the cap threads through the sign into the barrel to secure it in place. I saw these old wooden objects hanging on the wall at a local chain restaurant. They look carved and worn, but I cannot figure out what they were originally used for. They seem decorative now, but they must have had a function. Does anyone know what it is? What you found are vintage letterpress printing blocks. Before digital printing, images and text had to be physically carved into wood or cast in metal. These specific blocks appeared to be large cuts used for printing maps or illustrations. A printer would ink the raised surface of the wood and press it against paper to create the image. They are often salvaged from old print shops and used as rustic decor in restaurants today. What is this weird plastic object left in my driveway? It has a metal ring and is hollow on the inside. At first, I thought it was a ceramic heat emitter, but it turns out to be made of plastic. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a glide foot for a metal bed frame. This is the plastic insert that goes into the bottom of the steel legs to prevent scratching the floor. The metal ring provides structural reinforcement where the tube meets the plastic. These often fall off during the delivery or moving of furniture, which explains why it was sitting in the driveway. 1. There is a device mounted on the wall near the heater with a stylus and 3 buttons for power, light, and sound. The screen does not work and there is no reaction when I press the buttons, though they are highlighted. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a HomeLogic 1 Home Profile 700 touchscreen. This is an older generation home automation controller used to manage systems like lighting, audio, and climate control from a central interface. Since it is unresponsive, the internal components likely failed, or the main server it connects to is no longer active, leaving it as a defunct piece of smart home history. I found this black rectangular plastic object in a toolbox. It is lightweight but has a magnet inside stronger than a fridge magnet. It is about 40 millimeters by 20 millimeters and has a pointed pin on one end. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a magnetic stud finder manufactured by Sanus. It is typically included with their TV wall mounting kits. You slide it across the wall until the strong magnet latches onto the metal nails or screws holding the drywall to the wooden studs. Once located, you can use the small pointed pin to mark the exact spot for drilling. What is this industrial-looking wheel with offset teeth or paddles? It looks like it belongs on heavy machinery or farm equipment, but here it is being used as furniture. Does anyone know what it is? These are known as tip-toe steel wheels, originally designed for tractors. Before modern rubber tires became standard, these steel wheels with offset lugs or cleats provided immense traction in soft soil or mud during early 20th century farming. In this specific instance, the antique wheels have been repurposed as the base for a glass top table, a common practice in industrial interior design. What is this strange glass cylinder with one flat end? It looks like a test tube, but it feels heavier and appears to contain a dark substance inside. Does anyone know what it is? This is a chemical anchor capsule, specifically a glass tube filled with concrete epoxy and a hardener. Construction workers drill a hole in concrete and insert this tube. When a metal anchor bolt is driven in, it shatters the glass, mixing the chemicals to create a high-strength bond. While mostly replaced by injection guns today, these capsules are still used for heavy-duty load-bearing. I was going through my late uncle's Christmas decorations and found this strange object. It is 12 inches long, made of hard plastic, and the round section is completely hollow with a 1-inch opening. Does anyone know what it is? It is a vintage Christmas tree topper, likely from the mid-20th century. The hollow sphere is designed to sit over the top branch of the tree, or potentially over a light bulb to illuminate the plastic. Based on the hard plastic construction, this style was popular in the 1960s and 70s as a durable alternative to fragile glass finials. Sir, I discovered this small aluminum container with a threaded lid while exploring a former limestone quarry. It is rugged and heavy-duty. Does anyone know what it is? It is a heavy-duty storage container used by industrial drill operators. These rugged canisters are designed to hold spare nuts, bolts, or drill bits for heavy machinery. The specific shape, often with raised ridges or knurling, allows workers to unscrew the lid easily even while wearing thick safety gloves covered in mud or oil, which is a common scenario in quarry environments. I found this hinged silver ring inside an old jewelry box. It looks a bit like a bracelet, but it is too small for a wrist and too big for a finger. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a vintage scarf clip. Unlike a brooch that punctures fabric with a sharp pin, This accessory uses a hinged mechanism to clamp onto a silk scarf gently. It holds the fabric in place to prevent slipping and adds a decorative element to the knot. These were particularly popular in the mid-20th century when silk scarves were a daily fashion staple. Soffers. I was looking through a box of old cutlery and found this strange metal tool. It does not look like a knife or a spoon, but it was stored with them. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a vintage can opener. Before the modern rotary wheel design became standard, lever-type openers were common. You would pierce the lid with the sharp point and then use a rocking motion to saw through the metal rim. These tools were essential kitchen staples in the early to mid-20th century before pull tabs and electric openers took over. What are these sets of poles located on both sides of a bridge over a river? There are 8 of them in total near some hiking trails where temperatures often drop below zero. Does anyone know what it is? These are structural supports for signage that has not been installed yet. The specific anchor bolts set into the concrete are designed to hold vertical posts for trail information or warnings, rather than supporting a building or roof. In civil engineering, these mounts are often installed long before the actual sign panels arrive on site. What is this wooden box containing tambourine-shaped discs, metal balls, and foam padding on either end? It looks like a musical instrument, but the internal setup is baffling. Does anyone know what it is? It is a set of falling rain chimes, sometimes called a rain box. You hold the box vertically and slowly flip it over. The metal balls trickle down through the internal baffles and hit the discs, creating a continuous sound that mimics falling rain. They are often used for meditation or as percussion sound effects in recording studios. I found this small rhinestone-encrusted item in a jewelry box in the United Kingdom. It is made of brass metal and measures about 0.8 by 0.9 inches. It looks decorative, but I cannot figure out how it attaches to anything. Does anyone know what it is? It is a decorative buckle designed for a very thin belt, likely from the mid-20th century. The belt material, often fabric or leather, would have been sewn directly around the central crossbar. The tongue mechanism then fits into a loop or hole on the opposite end to secure it. These were common accessories for dress belts, where the buckle served as a piece of jewelry itself. I spotted this plastic ring with a brass bolt in the center at the edge of my driveway. It appears to be related to a natural gas line and measures about 3.5 inches in diameter. Does anyone know what it is? This is a Gasco gas shutoff valve curb box cover. The brass bolt in the center is actually a pentagon head bolt, a security feature designed to prevent unauthorized access. Utility workers use a specialized pentagon wrench to remove this lid to access the shutoff valve located underground, allowing them to stop the gas flow to the property during emergencies or maintenance. This small plastic ball was actually found dislodged inside my ear. I have no idea how long it has been there or where it came from. Does anyone know what it is? That is a 6mm plastic BB, likely from an airsoft gun. These spherical pellets are the standard ammunition for airsoft sports. Given the diameter matches the standard caliber perfectly, it is probable that a stray shot or a loose pellet found its way into your ear canal unnoticed. It is a common plastic projectile made of hard resin. I was digging in my backyard and found this buried under filter fabric and gravel. My house was built in the 1970s, so this has likely been underground for decades. There is writing on a glass shard that mentions RCA. Does anyone know what it is? What you dug up are the remains of a cathode ray tube, or CRT. Specifically, the glass fragment identifies it as an RCA electron tube. From the 1930s through the early 2000s, this technology was the standard for television sets and computer monitors. The thick glass was necessary to maintain a high vacuum inside the tube, allowing electron beams to strike the phosphors on the screen to create an image. What is this strange rectangular array of lights found in a ceiling fixture? It sits right where a standard light bulb should be, but it has a mysterious box in the center. Does anyone know what it is? Sakwarfa. It is an integrated LED light module. The component in the center that you thought was a detector is actually the LED driver. This electronic device regulates the power to the light-emitting diodes. Unlike old incandescent bulbs that run directly on mains electricity, LEDs require a constant current to prevent them from burning out. This driver converts high-voltage alternating current into the low-voltage direct current the LEDs need to function. I found this heavy metal component on an old machine, but I am unsure of its function. It has a hook-shaped part on the back and several grease fittings. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a mechanical knotter. It is a critical component used in agricultural hay balers and industrial binding machines. The hook-shaped part you noticed is called a bill hook. Its job is to grab both ends of a strand of twine or wire, spin them into a bow knot, and then cut the line to secure the bundle. While often found on tractors, this specific unit likely came from a stationary factory machine used for bundling raw materials. What is this wooden container attached to a pair of heavy tweezers? The container has a wooden stopper and is hollow inside. The chain connecting them looks original, suggesting they are meant to be used together. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a traditional snuff bottle from East Africa. These containers are carved from wood and used to store powdered tobacco. The attached metal tool acts as both tweezers and a scoop to extract the snuff. In many East African cultures, these personal items were carried daily, and the craftsmanship often indicated the status or region of the owner. What is this crackled, footed bowl used for? It looks like a standard piece of pottery, but there is a distinct hole in the bottom. Why would a bowl have a hole? Does anyone know what it is? It is a planter pot, and that opening is a drainage hole. While it resembles a soup bowl or serving dish, the hole prevents water from pooling at the bottom, which would rot the roots of a plant. The crackled finish is a glaze technique often used for aesthetic appeal in indoor gardening. You would typically place a saucer underneath it to catch the excess water dripping through that hole. I found this strange red wand while exploring a Russian server on VRChat. You could pick it up in the game, but I have no idea what real-world object it represents. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a digital replica of a traditional carpet beater. Before the invention of the vacuum cleaner by Hubert Cecil Booth in 1901, these tools were essential for household cleaning. They are typically made of woven rattan or iron wire, formed into intricate loops. You would hang a rug over a clothesline and strike it repeatedly with the wide end of the beater to force out dust and dirt. I spotted an odd cluster of buildings in the middle of nowhere in northeast Alabama. It looks completely isolated from the main roads and residential areas. Does anyone know what it is? What you are looking at is a deer hunting camp. In rural Alabama and across the South, hunting clubs often build semi-permanent structures on leased timberland. These clusters serve as sleeping quarters and meat processing areas during the hunting season. The layout is designed to accommodate trucks and all-terrain vehicles while keeping the living area centralized for social gathering after a hunt. What is this eye-shaped object made of cobalt blue glass? It features a very shallow recess in the center, but it does not seem deep enough to hold liquid. Does anyone know what it is? This object is a vintage soap dish, likely dating back to the Art Deco era. The shallow depression is designed to hold a bar of hand soap while allowing it to dry between uses. Cobalt blue glass was mass-produced by American companies like Hazel Atlas in the 1930s to match popular bathroom tile trends of the time. I found a plastic bag full of these white plastic pieces in my shed. They look like industrial connectors or fittings, but I have no idea what they assemble into. Does anyone know what it is? These are structural components for an above-ground swimming pool. Specifically, they are the top rail connectors and vertical leg caps used in metal frame pools manufactured by companies like Intex or Bestway. They are engineered to snap onto the metal poles, securing the frame joints to prevent wobbling when the pool is filled with thousands of gallons of water. These small crystal objects might be Waterford glass. I placed some keys next to them for scale to show how tiny they are, yet they are quite heavy. Does anyone know what it is? These are individual salt cellars, also known as open salts. Before anti-caking agents allowed for the invention of the salt shaker in the late 19th century, salt was served in small dips like these at each place setting. If they are genuine Waterford crystal, they are made of lead glass, which is prized for its density and high refractive index that creates the signature sparkle. While looking at satellite imagery of North Korea, I noticed these strange circles scattered across the hillsides. They appear in batches near both civilian and military areas. Each circle is roughly the same size and features a distinct mound in the center. Does anyone know what it is? These are traditional Korean burial mounds. In Korean culture, deceased ancestors are often buried in round, grass-covered mounds on hillsides, a practice that dates back centuries. The distinct mound in the center covers the burial chamber. While South Korea has moved toward cremation due to space constraints, these traditional cemeteries remain common in the north, often situated according to principles of geomancy to ensure good fortune for the descendants. Siam, what are these strange tubes protruding from the neck of this doll? There are 3 thick tubes and 2 skinny ones. One even ends in a skin-colored cube. It looks incredibly specific and slightly unsettling. Does anyone know what it is? It is an infant medical training mannequin, specifically designed for practicing intubation and airway management. Medical students and paramedics use these to learn how to insert breathing tubes into a baby's trachea. The various tubes represent the esophagus, trachea, and lungs, allowing trainees to visually confirm if they have established a clear airway or if they have accidentally intubated the stomach. I found this tool in my kitchen drawer and I am stumped. It is 14 inches long and resembles a pair of tongs, but it has a strange extended handle mechanism. It feels like a specialized utensil, but I have never seen it used. Does anyone know what it is? These are known as locking tongs. Unlike standard spring-loaded tongs, this design features a sliding bar mechanism on the handle. Once you grip an item like a roast or a jar, you slide the bar forward to lock the jaws in place. This allows the user to hold heavy or slippery objects securely without maintaining constant hand pressure, making them excellent for canning or handling hot meats. I found these white, vented plastic objects in my kitchen. They look curvy and winged, almost like fan blades or turbine parts. I am sure they belong to a specific appliance, but I cannot figure out which one. Does anyone know what it is? Oh, it is a set of salad spinner parts. Specifically, these are likely the brake or drive mechanism components found inside the lid of a centrifugal salad dryer. When you press the plunger or turn the crank, these fins engage to spin the inner basket, using centrifugal force to separate water from the lettuce leaves. They often detach when the unit is washed vigorously. I found this tool and I suspect it is related to fishing. It has a long handle and a metallic end, but the shape is confusing me. It looks incomplete. Does anyone know what it is? It is a broken telescopic landing net. The metal component at the end is the yoke where the hoop usually attaches. In this case, the hoop has snapped off, leaving just the collapsible handle and the mounting bracket. Anglers use these to scoop fish out of the water, and the telescopic function allows the handle to extend for better reach or collapse for storage. I bought this strange device hoping to use it as a terrarium. It stands about 3 feet tall with a plastic sphere on top. The sphere opens up to reveal filters and the base contains a motor. It looks scientific, but I am not sure. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a diffusion cloud chamber. It is a scientific apparatus used to visualize cosmic rays and ionizing radiation. Inside the sealed chamber, alcohol vapor is cooled until it becomes supersaturated. When a charged particle passes through, it ionizes the vapor, leaving a visible trail of mist, similar to the contrail of a jet plane. It allows students to see subatomic particles with the naked eye. What is this metal object found in a drawer? It is about 10 millimeters thick and 5 centimeters long. It has prongs coming out of it and very small, intricate slits cut into the side. I suspect it might be a key. Does anyone know what it is? Oppo. It is a universal dispenser key. Specifically, this is often called a waffle key or a dual finger key, used for opening commercial paper towel and toilet tissue dispensers. Manufacturers like Georgia-Pacific or Kimberly-Clark use these specialized shapes to prevent theft or vandalism in public restrooms. The intricate slits align with the internal locking mechanism to release the cover for refilling. I found this tool in the attic and have not a clue what it could be. It is about 3 inches long and has a handle that screws in and out, pushing a small pin forward. Does anyone know what it is? Lashao. It is a chain breaker tool, specifically designed for bicycle maintenance. It works by aligning a pin on the tool with a rivet on a bike chain link. As you screw the handle in, it pushes the rivet out, allowing you to break the chain loop to remove it for cleaning or to adjust the length by adding or removing links. This looks like an antique wooden press or clamp, but I cannot figure out its specific purpose. It has a hinged board mechanism that presses down flat. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a beekeeping foundation fastener. Apiarists use this device to attach a sheet of beeswax foundation into a wooden frame before placing it into the hive. The press holds the wax sheet firmly against the top bar of the frame, allowing the beekeeper to secure it, often by running a hot wheel along the edge to melt the wax slightly for adhesion. I found this in the entryway of my closet at home. It is lightweight, rigid, and has these tiny cups along the side. It looks like it broke off something larger and feels very dry. Does anyone know what it is? It is a dried, mummified octopus tentacle. While it might seem strange to find in a closet, these are often sold as dog treats or dried seafood snacks in Asian markets. If a pet, like a cat or dog, dragged a piece away and left it to air dry, the muscle tissue becomes rigid and preserves the distinct sucker cups you see here. Oh, I have this strange roller measuring 4 by 7 inches. It has a wooden handle and 12 metal wheels with blunt teeth that move independently of one another. There are no identifying markings on it. Does anyone know what it is? This is a carpet seam roller, specifically a star wheel or tractor-type model. Professional installers use this tool to join 2 pieces of carpet together. After applying hot melt tape beneath the seam, the installer rolls this tool over the top. The blunt star-shaped wheels press the carpet backing into the melted adhesive while knitting the carpet fibers together to hide the joint, ensuring a seamless look without damaging the pile. I just moved into a new rental and found this rack mounted on the garage wall. It has several metal slots, but they seem too narrow for shelves. Does anyone know what it is? It is a gravity clamp tool organizer. It is specifically designed for long-handled garden tools like shovels, rakes, and hoes. When you slide a handle into the notch, the weight of the tool pulls a rolling mechanism downward, clamping the handle securely against the backplate. To release it, you simply lift the tool upwards. I found this small white box plugged into a wall outlet. It came with the house I bought. It has 2 small antennae sticking out of the top, but no obvious buttons. Does anyone know what it is? It's a wireless receiver for a home security system. Specifically, this unit acts as a radio frequency bridge. It communicates wirelessly with door and window sensors throughout the home and relays those signals to the main alarm control panel. The 2 antennae ensure it can send and receive signals through walls and across different floors. I spotted this object sitting in a no left turn lane on the road. It looks like brass or bronze, measures around 8 inches across, and seems to be bolted to the asphalt. Does anyone know what it is? It is a decorative center cap, specifically a fake knockoff spinner. Genuine knockoff wheels used on vintage race cars like those from the 1960s used a central wing nut to hold the wheel on for quick changes. This specific item is a cosmetic plastic or metal imitation that clips onto modern rims to simulate that classic aesthetic. It likely fell off a passing car. I noticed this strange metal structure attached to the side of a library building. It looks like a vertical spike with 3 other poles angling downward. Does anyone know what it is? This is a ground plane antenna, likely tuned for the 2-meter amateur radio band. The central vertical element radiates the signal, while the 3 downward angled rods act as an artificial ground, reflecting radio waves to shape the signal pattern. Facilities often install these to boost reception for handheld walkie-talkies used by security or maintenance staff across a campus. I found this small brass cylinder with a screw-on cap. When I opened it, I discovered a strange spatula attached to the lid. It looks like it might be for pharmaceuticals. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a vintage brass oil bottle, specifically designed for the Lee Enfield rifle. These were standard issue for British and Commonwealth forces during the early 20th century. The soldier would fill the cylinder with gun oil, and the attached spoon or spatula was used to apply precise drops to the rifle's bolt mechanism to prevent jamming in the trenches. I have a collection of these metallic pins featuring Cyrillic text and space imagery. They appear to be related to the Soviet space program, but I cannot read the language. Does anyone know what it is? These are commemorative pins celebrating Yuri Gagarin's historic flight. The text on the right pin translates to 30 years of the first manned flight into space, marking the anniversary of the Vostok forward mission on April 12, 1961. In the Soviet Union, pin collecting, or phaleristics, was a massive hobby, and millions were produced to honor technological achievements like the space race. I found these in a kitchen drawer and I am stumped. They are serrated blades connected by a handle and look like some kind of utensil, but the spacing is unusual. Does anyone know what it is? It is a vintage tomato slicer. You place the tomato between the metal jaws, and the serrated teeth act as a guide for your knife. This ensures perfectly even slices without crushing the fruit. While simple, this design was a staple in mid-20th century kitchens to help home cooks achieve diner-quality presentation. I found this plugged into the wall at my Airbnb. It has no visible brand, makes no noise, and is about 11 centimeters tall by 8 centimeters wide. I didn't want to unplug it in case I broke something. Does anyone know what it is? This is a plug-in receiver for a wireless doorbell system. When someone presses the button outside, it sends a radio frequency signal to this unit to play a chime. Since you did not hear it, the volume might be turned down, or the battery in the outdoor transmitter has died. It is a standard home automation device, not a camera or sensor. I noticed these clear plastic loops on door handles while traveling in Europe. They seem to be attached loosely and form a figure-8 shape. Does anyone know what it is? It is a door handle bumper, also known as a buffer. These flexible PVC loops are slipped over the handle to act as a cushion. If the door is thrown open too hard, the plastic loop hits the wall instead of the metal handle, preventing dents in the plaster or damage to the handle itself. I have this wrought iron frame that measures 20 by 18 by 8 inches. The twisted bars on the top and bottom are fixed in place and cannot be removed. There are no stamps or dates on it anywhere. Does anyone know what it is? It is a vintage wrought iron towel holder. These sturdy racks were designed to sit on a bathroom floor or vanity. The fixed twisted bars provide a frame to neatly stack folded towels vertically. The heavy iron construction ensures stability so the stack does not tip over, and the material is resistant to the humidity often found in washrooms. I am looking at a news website and I see this scrolling feature at the top. I am not asking about the news itself, but what is the specific name for this interface element that cycles through headlines? Does anyone know what it is? In web design, this element is called a carousel. It is a slideshow component used to cycle through a series of content, like images or news headlines, usually built with CSS and JavaScript. While popular for saving screen space, user experience experts often criticize them because users frequently scroll past them without seeing the hidden content. I found these plastic pieces in my garage, and I am worried they might have fallen off something important. They are small, curved, and come in slightly different sizes. Does anyone know what it is? These are interchangeable nose bridges for swimming goggles. Manufacturers include different sizes, small, medium, and large, so you can adjust the distance between the lenses to fit your specific facial structure. They snap into the sides of the eye cups to ensure a watertight seal. I noticed these wooden frames attached to the balcony railing inside an old church. They seem to be positioned specifically at the end of the aisles, but they look like an afterthought compared to the rest of the architecture. Does anyone know what it is? These are safety fall guards, often installed retroactively to meet modern building codes. In older churches with low balcony railings, standing up near the edge creates a fall hazard. These wooden extensions raise the barrier height specifically at the end of the aisles where people stand to exit, preventing accidental falls over the edge without obstructing the view while seated. I found this mounted on the side of a cabinet above a sink. It is all wood with a glass viewing window, measuring 12 inches tall by 3.5 inches wide. The bottom has Velcro bits inside, but otherwise it is open. Does anyone know what it is? It is a wall-mounted dispenser for disposable paper cups, likely the small 3-ounce bathroom cups known as Dixie cups. You load the stack from the top, and the Velcro or bristles at the bottom provide just enough friction to hold the stack in place while allowing you to pull one cup out at a time. The glass window lets you see when it is time to refill. I found this rusted metal assembly on a farm property in Arizona. It looks like an old tool, but the shape is confusing and it is heavily weathered. Does anyone know what it is? This is the hitch assembly, specifically the clevis and draft rod for a horse-drawn walking plow. Before tractors, farmers walked behind these plows to till the soil. This metal piece connects the wooden beam of the plow to the horse's harness, allowing the animal to pull the blade through the earth. The adjustment holes allowed the farmer to change the depth and angle of the furrow. We just found this loose metal object in our house. It is around 15 centimeters long and looks like a heavy-duty bolt that can expand. It looks mechanical, but we don't know where it came from. Does anyone know what it is? It is a shipping bolt, also known as a transit bolt, for a front-loading washing machine. Manufacturers install these at the factory to lock the heavy wash drum in place, preventing it from banging against the chassis and damaging the suspension springs during delivery. You must remove them before using the machine, or the washer will vibrate violently and walk across the floor during the spin cycle. We were going through my late grandmother's belongings and found this unusual glass jar. It has a very distinct shape, unlike standard mason jars, and looks quite old. Does anyone know what it is? This is a vintage jelly jar manufactured by the Kerr Glass Company. Collectors often call this specific design the Jambler. It features a unique flared shape intended to make it easier to scoop jelly out without getting sticky residue on your knuckles. Based on the markings, this style was produced in the mid-20th century and was often sealed with paraffin wax rather than a screw-top lid. I spotted this portable tower structure inside a Nicor enclosure. It looks industrial and temporary, standing quite tall compared to the surrounding equipment. Does anyone know what it is? It is a portable vapor combustor. These devices are used in the oil and gas industry to safely burn off volatile organic compounds and hazardous vapors during maintenance or pipeline operations. By incinerating the gases rather than venting them directly into the atmosphere, the combustor significantly reduces environmental pollution and prevents the accumulation of explosive gases at the worksite. I received a package in the mail containing this shiny chrome metal object, but I never ordered it. There is no return address or invoice included in the box. Does anyone know what it is? What you are experiencing is known as a brushing scam. Unscrupulous third-party sellers on platforms like Amazon find your address and send you cheap items, often random hardware or trinkets, so they can write a verified positive review under your name. While the object itself is likely a cheap component like a standoff or a handle, the real purpose is to artificially boost the seller's ratings. I found this object that looks like a medal or a pin. It has a small circle in the middle, but I cannot make out the details inside it. Does anyone know what it is? This is a lapel pin associated with the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, specifically the 32nd degree. The imagery typically features a double-headed eagle, a symbol known as the Eagle of Lagash, which represents the dual nature of the jurisdiction. These pins are worn by members who have attained the Master of the Royal Secret degree, one of the highest honors in the fraternity. I found this on a neighborhood sidewalk. It is made of glass and is a little larger than my thumb. There is a hole in either end. One side is blackened on the inside, while the other appears plugged with something white. Does anyone know what it is? This is a religious bead or amulet from the South Putuo Temple, a famous Buddhist temple in Xiamen, China. The characters inscribed on the bead identify the temple, which dates back to the Tang dynasty. The blackened interior suggests it may have been used as part of an incense burner or a specialized prayer bead containing sacred ash or scripture, often carried for protection and luck. What is this drinking straw-sized metal tube with a pointy tip? It looks like a medical instrument or a part of a machine, but it is completely hollow. Does anyone know what it is? It's a needle punch tool used for making rugs. This hollow metal tube allows yarn to feed through the center. When you punch it through a backing fabric, the sharp tip helps create a loop of yarn on the other side. While most modern versions feature ergonomic wooden or plastic handles for comfort. This is a vintage or simplified metal shaft used to create textured pile carpets by hand. I see this latch hook clasp thing commonly used on backpacks to attach the straps, but I cannot find the specific name to buy a replacement. It holds the webbing securely. Does anyone know what it is? This specific piece of hardware is known as a single gatekeeper. It is designed to secure webbing straps on tactical gear or backpacks. The gate refers to the small metal or plastic bar that slides or snaps shut to lock the strap in place. This design prevents the strap from slipping under heavy loads while allowing for quick detachment without unthreading the entire assembly. I was walking on a trail that used to be a rail tunnel and saw this piece of wood with metal hooks on it. It is mounted high up near the entrance. Does anyone know what it is? It is the remains of a telegraph or power line pole arm. In the era of steam locomotives, communication lines ran parallel to the tracks. Those metal hooks, often called thumbs or pins, originally held glass or ceramic insulators. Copper wires were wrapped around these insulators to prevent the electrical current from grounding out into the wet wood of the tunnel structure. I found these scattered on the floor of a nightclub. They are hard plastic spheres, white on the inside and outside. I was worried this might be some kind of drug paraphernalia. Does anyone know what it is? What you found are airsoft pellets. These are 6mm spherical projectiles used in recreational shooting sports. While they resemble pills, they are made of hard plastic or biodegradable resin. Finding them in a club is unusual, but they are harmless ammunition for toy guns, not illicit substances. What is the point of this large red section covering the center field fence of a baseball diamond? It stands out completely against the rest of the wall structure. Does anyone know what it is? This feature is known as a batter's eye. It is a solid colored area directly in the batter's line of sight behind the pitcher. Its purpose is to provide high visual contrast, allowing the batter to see the white baseball clearly as it leaves the pitcher's hand. Without this backdrop, the ball might get lost in the visual noise of the crowd or scenery, making it dangerous for the player at the plate. This looks like a gun-shaped tool, but it has a sharp, pointy end and a sight glass on the top. It appears to be a precision optical instrument. Does anyone know what it is? This instrument is an intrascope, also known as an optical probe. It is a specialized tool used in the meat industry to measure back fat thickness on pigs. The operator inserts the probe into the carcass, and the optical system allows them to visually distinguish between fat and lean muscle layers to grade the meat quality accurately. What is this weird plastic loop, about 5 inches long, featuring a movable button at the very end? It looks flexible, but the purpose isn't immediately obvious compared to standard fasteners. Does anyone know what it is? It is a reusable zip tie. Unlike standard nylon cable ties that use a ratchet mechanism to lock permanently, this design relies on a friction-based button lock. To use it, you fold the strap around your cables, push the button component through the loop, and slide the button down to tighten it. This allows you to bundle cords temporarily without having to cut the tie to remove it. I found this glass utensil that measures about 3 feet long. It looks like it might have been used for outdoor cooking, but glass seems like a fragile choice for a barbecue environment. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a vintage thermal food warmer, sometimes referred to as a glass rolling pin warmer. While it resembles a rolling pin, the hollow glass body is designed to be filled with hot water through a stoppered end. Once filled, it acts as a thermal mass to keep dishes warm on a dining table without using an open flame or electricity. These were popular in the mid-20th century for keeping casseroles or bread warm during meals. I just bought a used Toyota Tundra and found this mysterious bag of hardware inside. It contains various metal bolts and strange arm-like brackets that don't seem to fit the engine or the interior. Does anyone know what it is? These are mounting brackets and bolts for a tonneau cover. A tonneau cover is the hard or soft cover used to protect the bed of a pickup truck. These specific clamps attach to the bed rails of the Tundra, allowing the cover's frame to be secured without drilling holes into the truck body. It appears the previous owner removed the cover but left the mounting hardware behind. I just moved into a condo building that is only 5 years old. I noticed this strange metal fixture sticking out of the wall above the closet. It looks industrial, but I am not sure if it is a sensor or a camera. Does anyone know what it is? That is a sidewall fire sprinkler head. Specifically, it is a residential fire suppression device connected to the building's water supply. Usually, these are covered by a flat white escutcheon plate to blend in with the wall, which is missing in your case. Inside the head is a glass bulb filled with a glycerin-based liquid that expands when heated. If a fire raises the temperature, the bulb shatters, releasing the water plug to extinguish the flames. Which of these items surprised you the most? Or maybe you have one of them in your own garage? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed learning something new today, please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. Thanks for watching.